which is on page 51. And David Rankin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll just introduce Fiona Knox and Gavin Peebles, who have been and will be working on this. Again, we had a good level of engagement with councillors at a workshop on Onehunga, so I don't intend to go over everything again. I mean, clearly it's an area with a lot of potential. It's got a lovely old town centre with great heritage bones and near the water. So we're seeing a lot of potential in and around the centre. It's clearly got some challenges because of the regional infrastructure that's been concentrated in the area, not only the existing motorway, transpower lines, but also the planned east-west connection, which we don't know the final form of, but will clearly be a big physical intervention. And at the conclusion of that, we know that Panuku will have what will be a terrific opportunity really of that surplus port land to work with to sort of augment the town centre and get the linkages right. And the third thing that we're noting is right by the town centre and in our transform area is a significant block of Housing New Zealand property that in the next decade will be redeveloped. So we're building up a good partnership to work together with Housing New Zealand. So probably that's all I need to say by way of introduction, Mr. Chairman. Happy to take questions.
Thank you, David. We'll put it on the table, and it's moved by Councillor Denise Lee. Do I have a second? Councillor Newman, you've been very interested in the area of Onehunga recently, haven't you? Would you like to second?
I support Councillor Lee and Onehunga, so I'm happy to second.
Thank you. It's seconded by Councillor Newman. Would Councillor Denise Lee like to introduce this item?
I would, thank you. And I do have a couple of questions, just foreshadowing that too, Mr. Chair. I would like to, and I think it's very appropriate to thank staff who have produced the lion's share of this high-level project plan. As we know, we get to read reports and see fantastic images, but there's a lot of blood, sweat and tears behind the scenes. So thank you very much, David, Fiona and Gavin, who are before us today. And I'd also like to mention Helga, Sonia, who has helped with the engagement side of things, and also a shout out to John Carter, who's worked incredibly hard on the East-West submission on behalf of Panuku. So we know that John's work has been integral in the impact that the East-West project will have on Onehunga. I'd like to point out and just assure our political support and oversight for what is the two main movements for what we're suggesting short term here. We all know that the East-West project will have quite an impact on Onehunga, and our decision as the governing body to place it in the top transformation category. And so our political oversight for partnerships, perhaps I shouldn't say oversight, but our political watchfulness on partnerships with Housing New Zealand and also with Auckland Transport in terms of what we need to do to realise some of what you've put into this high-level project plan. And I know that me and my colleagues around the table will commit to that and the journey, and also I'd like to especially make mention of the Mongakeke Tamaki Local Board, who are journeying with us and have been very engaged for what we now see as a tabled document for our approval. We've got a next step, and you also highlight that in terms of community engagement. So hats off to the way that Helga's led the process till now, but we all agree that it needs to dial up and dial out, and that will be incredibly important for the residents who live in the area, the business people who reside in the area or work in the area, and that community engagement piece will be even more, there's even more of a requirement for it to be sensitively handled with, again, the East-West Transport impact. So look, I do have a couple of questions, but those are my opening comments, and they're all predicated on one big giant thank you for the work that you've done. When we took that previous item around Panuku's forward work program, you can see the quantum of where you're going around the city, around Auckland, and Onihanga's just one, but as you might imagine from my perspective, it's a big one. So thank you, and when you're ready, Mr. Chair, I'll be happy to ask some questions.
Thank you, Councillor Denise Lee. Any other questions on this topic, this paper?
Very-
Councillor Simpson.
Sorry, thank you, Mr. Chairman. That was a Freudian slip. My question is, I see that you're talking to, and Councillor Lee's referred to as well, the Maungakiekie Local Board and the Mangaria Tahuhu Local Board. I just wondered if you should keep FYI to other neighbouring local boards, just because, you know, they do have a interest being neighbours. Just point noted, FYI, my board asked me if they could be included, so.
Okay.
Not to be consulted, just keeping abreast of the project.
Okay. Sorry, I'll go back to Councillor Denise Lee. All the questions I
Right.
misheard.
Different segment, question time. So if we look on page 22 of the actual document, high-level project plan document, and you've got a map of planned infrastructure projects, I wondered whether it would be worth calling out, especially where you've got that airport link diagram, that's, I'm stating the obvious here, but it's not set in stone. And some comments, please, if you will, around that mass rapid transit topic and what you've written in terms of the town centre west and the SHA development. So just for clarity, that's back in the report on paragraph 31. So you've talked about in that town centre west area that there's an SHA, but it's a bit disconnected. You're going to be talking to developers, but you haven't yet, well, that's my understanding. And then potential realisation of any mass rapid transit coming through that area, and the fact that nothing's set in stone. So just comments around that, because we've got such a convergence of, and you do really fantastic job pointing it out, such a convergence of major regional transport initiatives, and this is one that's probably not getting a lot of daylight.
Sure. Through you, Mr. Chair, I can answer the questions around the mass rapid transit, and I think Gavin will cover off the SHA piece. You're right, nothing's set in stone yet, and but the Panuku team is working with the light rail team in terms of some of the preferred route alignments and how that route might land in the town centre. Both at Wynyard, we're looking at it through me and through Onehunga as well. I think the only thing we can really say at this point is that it will probably come in via Dominion Road, that's Stoddard Road along State Highway 16. That town centre west is an area where it's actually got quite a lot of potential but not a lot of council-owned land, so it will require some different kind of methodology in terms of how we work with those private landholders and the light rail team to kind of make it land and get the catchment of people that we're expecting to be able to use that light rail system. Yeah. So it's more of a, us being able to completely work with the AT light rail team every step of the way to ensure that the transport responds to the land use that's there.
Just through the chairs, also in terms of the SHA areas, we have been in discussion with the developers of those areas within the Town Centre West block. So our main conversation's been around what council can contribute in order to influence the design of those SHA blocks. Currently, it's not viable to develop those in an apartment type topology, so we're just in discussions at the moment with what that may look like in the future.
Can I just ask two obvious questions about the recommendations? One, in B, endorsing you as the lead council agency, have we not done that? Did we do that when we first confirmed you or confirmed Onehunga in the transformation category, or do we?
Well, arguably, councillor, you have, but I can assure you it never hurts to reinforce it.
Okay, right.
Good question.
Version 2.
Good question, good answer.
And my other is just for the sake of, because there has been a couple of emails to me, and for the sake of my colleagues too, that C is note. It will be finance and performance that will deal with the disposals, so coming soon. Thanks.
Yes, it will come to finance soon, and I guess C goes, we have this debate often with this process. C goes right to the heart of the Deputy Mayor's question to me earlier, which is, if we don't have a credible, viable development strategy, we've really got, nothing meaningful to do. So this is, these are the crunch parts of the plans, getting a mandate oversight subject to all the things we've got to work through, but that gives us and our board a level of confidence to work with these sites and invest time and money in them.
Buying the jam.
Yeah.
Well, good. Further questions on this topic? There being none, it's moved by Councillor Denise Lee, seconded by Councillor Newman.
Yes.
I'll put it. All those in favour say aye.
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 Contrary, no, and declare that carried.